Gosh, guys, learn to see the big picture. So I haven't seen anyone commenting on the big picture. When I see something like this happen to the Ayatollah, like all I'm thinking about is the big picture in the grand scheme of things and how this affects Islam in the grand scheme of things. I know for a fact no one else picks up on this stuff, and I don't know why, because I'm like locked in. All I see is the big picture. I spent like maybe 5 or 6 minutes going and looking for the Dawa wars. And I saw multiple categories of people. I saw people like Muhammad Hijab, who seemed to be saying, oh, Muslims need to unite or we'll never be able to stop these guys. They can do anything they want. So that's the Muhammad Hijab camp. Muslims need to unite. And Muslims aren't united. That's why the kuffar are so much more powerful. Then you've got I saw Adnan Rashid. He was like celebrating. Yeah, he's going to hell and stuff like that. Those would be the people who are kind of thinking, wait a minute, this guy spent his entire life killing Sunnis, coming up with ways to kill Sunnis. We don't like this guy, right? So that's Adnan Rashid. Ha ha. He's laughing. He's laughing at this guy being dead. And then you've got the pro-Shia people, of course, they're crying, but also you've got the Muslims who they hate, even though the Ayatollah is like one of their supreme enemies, and Shia Islam, a lot of these guys don't regard them as real Muslims, and they've been doing nothing but fighting everywhere. And so everyone's got a different position. I mean, it's a couple different categories, but they're all attacking each other right now. Muslim governments must make up their minds. Either they unite within the framework of a single Islamic front, or they remain subservient to the Epstein alliance. Russia and China will not come to save us. Well, you're right. Russia and China are not coming to save you, Muhammad Hijab. But if you're putting your hope in Muslims uniting, welcome to fantasy land. Population, you. Because that is total fantasy land. And Exhibit A is just how you guys are reacting to this. You guys can't agree on there's nothing you can agree on. The United States and Israel can go bomb the leader of a country and you guys will start attacking each other instantly. We're going to all unite and we'll be very strong and then we'll be... What? Oh, that's so incredibly dumb. Oh, gosh, dude, you are the worst tactician of all time. What's the most important thing about the Ayatollah? I mean, the grand ruler of Iran just being taken out like that. What's the big picture as far as Islam goes? I'll just break it down now. As far as what I've been saying, like the grand scheme of things. This is some of what you guys are saying is connected to this issue. But and people are saying other leaders will be terrified. Islam is collapsing in the name of Jesus. A house built on sand will not last. Here's the issue. So I mentioned the caliphates, right? So Islam always had a caliphate up until the Ottoman Empire fought in World War I and lost. And shortly after, the caliphate collapsed. They lost their caliphate. When the Ottoman caliphate collapsed, it was not replaced by another caliphate. It was Western nations that were more powerful. And then what happened? Then the French and the British, after World War I, went over and took over massive parts of the Muslim world and decided how they were going to divide them up into different countries and stuff. That was massively traumatic to the Ummah. Now, for the first time, we have no caliphate and we have no hope of rebuilding the caliphate because these other nations are way, way more powerful than us. That was traumatic, and a bunch of people lost their confidence in Islam. The attitude of lots of people is we lost. Islam lost. Islam lost. It's been falsified. That was the psychologically, that was the impact it had on people. But you got the possible alternative explanation that came along. The alternative explanation was not that, oh yeah, Islam is falling because it's false and it's not taking over the world. The alternative that came along was, yes, we lost to these Western nations. Yes, it looks like Allah's not on our side, but that's because Allah's punishing us for not being strict enough in enforcing Sharia. That was the response. It's not that Islam is false. It's that Allah is punishing us because we haven't been devout and strict enough, and we've gotten way too lax in everything. So the solution is we have to crack down, be forceful, crush all heresy, and so on. And this went in two different directions. You had the Sunni direction that gives rise to like the Muslim Brotherhood and so on. You had the Shia direction. That's like the Iranian Revolution. Both of there was the same mentality. It's we haven't been strict enough and devout enough. And so if we do that, then Allah's going to bless us again, and then we'll start taking over again. Okay, that was the plan. And you tried it. How well is that working out in Iran? That's right. It just collapsed. That entire theory, as far as the Shia wing, that just collapsed. You lost. You tried it. We'll be very strict. We'll toss people who refuse to wear the hijab in prison or kill them and so on. And then Allah will bless us for acting like this. Oh, really? Because it looks like you're the leader of your entire movement just got bombed. And it doesn't look like you're making any sort of comeback. So basically, the Shia wing just lost. And it's not looking much better for the Sunni version. You can't kind of overstate the significance of this. It's, wait a minute, Islam is lost. Islam is weak. That's not supposed to be that way. We're supposed to be taking over the world. We're supposed to expand until we take over the world. And we just got crushed in World War I. And we have no hope of rising to power. We have no hope of taking over these Western nations. We're way too weak. Alternative explanation. Allah's punishing you because you're not being strict. Okay. ISIS was very strict. They lost. Iran, very strict. They lost. Now where are you going? Now kind of the only possible alternative that remains is maybe Allah's helping us conquer these Western nations by different means, by us having really terrible countries and we want to get out of them, and then we go to Western countries and eventually maybe we take them over. Maybe that's how Allah's taking them. That's like the last hope psychologically in Islam. So the alternative explanation for why Allah wasn't blessing you to do what you're supposed to do in this world, you had the Shia version, it just lost. The Sunni version is losing. Now, if you could just deal with that third one, like stop thinking that you're going to take over Western nations by immigration and so on and having lots of babies. Someone could still believe in Islam, but that is going to be so massively psychologically traumatic that you're going to see. You thought the avalanche of apostasy was accelerating before. You're going to see it accelerating way, 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 way more. You're going to see mass exodus from Islam over this stuff. We talk lots about Muhammad Hijab's, that poll he ran years ago where he asked Muslims specifically, when you doubt Islam, what is it that's causing your doubts? And the number one answer was moral problems with Muhammad. That's the biggest cause of doubts for Muslims. But we don't always bring up the number two. The number two response was the weakness of the ummah. The weakness of the ummah causes them to doubt Islam because the ummah is not supposed to be weak. The ummah is supposed to be strong. And so, psychologically speaking, from an Islamic perspective, if you're a Shia, your hopes just got crushed, man. Like, how do you can still have some vague hope in the future, and that may work for some people, but a lot of people are just going to be devastated and, oh my goodness, we lost. It's not working. We're not taking over. We're not taking over the world. We're not defeating the Sunnis. We're not defeating anybody. We're toast. And the same sort of thing is going on with Sunnis. It's like, why? I mean, there's 2 billion Muslims and we can't beat a couple of Jews, man. We can't beat a handful of Jews. They run their mouth, oh, we're taking over the world. Inside, they are psychologically being destroyed. The world is not supposed to be like this. As far as like big picture is concerned, you had 3 options. You had 3 options as far as like what could possibly happen that would be somehow consistent with Islam about how we actually move forward, and Islam is going to turn out to be true. We didn't, Shias are right, and we just got to be strict. We just got to be really strict in imposing Shia Islam, or Sunnis, we have to be really strict in imposing Sunni Islam, or Allah's just doing it a different way. He's having us, he's letting our countries crumble horribly, and he's just going to use that to help us take over these places. Well, one of those just collapsed. The other one's collapsing. If Islam, gets a caliphate and so on, if Islam gets a caliphate, and then you have kind of a force that can keep people in line, even if you have different views and so on, you'll have at least some main force that can keep most people in line, even if they have different beliefs and so on, right? And so you have like one big caliphate. And sometimes that caliphate will become weak, and guess what? They'll be replaced by another caliphate, and then another caliphate will be like the strong main force. Okay, you guys lost your caliphate. Once you lose the caliphate, you don't have that big grand force keeping everyone, kind of in line. What happens then? Well, you're all free to go out and do what you want. And then boom, then all of a sudden you got 487,000 different sects of Islam all attacking each other as heretics. Now try to unite it after you lost that central force. How do you do that? You can't. You can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again, buddy. You can try, though.
We'll be watching.
I think the way Islam is going to be viewed is just going to be different. Like, you take someone like the New York Mayor, Zohran Mamdani. It's just a very different version of Islam. It's like progressive, pro-LGBTQIA plus, perspective, interfaith. And, that's never going to really get along with kind of mainstream traditional folks. There's going to be a clash. There's already, the greatest victims of, violence from Muslim folks are other Muslims. That's just the fact. So there is a tension that you're going to have because you have people like the Ismailis who are pretty progressive, right? That's just not going to jive well with people who are you hear people say, well, I believe in jizya and I believe in, you have to follow, the strict rules.